All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us for She Speaks, Women in Business. And it's not necessarily just for women in business and entrepreneurship or what we call it. I don't know why franchise. I don't know why my brain was doing something. It's been that kind of day already. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining She Speaks. This is our special edition. You know, normally we host She Speaks every fourth Monday of the month, and we have a different topic that we cover for women in business, women in health, women organizing, time management. We just cover so much that just really all of us can take advantage of and utilize the resources that we bring to the screen. So that way that you guys don't have to always, you know, come in person somewhere. So it was so funny because this morning, this lady, someone messaged me and said, I just registered for Holy Health Girlfriend, and I don't know, live means in person to me. So how do I get on? So she meant like come to a building, you know, all that. I'm like, girl, just check your email box, click on the link and you're live. Isn't that something? So it's technology is beautiful when it works, and it's a nightmare when it doesn't. So, but anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us for She Speaks. And my name is Kathy Hood, and I am CEO of Marvelous Light Empowerment Association and founder of Woman University. So you guys, we're gonna get right into our presentation for today, but to find out more about Marvelous Light and Woman University, please go to my website, simplymarvelous.org, or you can go to womanuniversity.net. All right. So I am excited. Look, my thing is I have this thing about superheroes. And so Dr. Alyssa, she is like a little superhero to me. That's why we were sitting there, we were having lunch. She is just as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. We have such a good time every time we get together and chit chat and talk. And so I was like, you know, when we came up with this name at lunch, it was just so fitting for both of our personalities. And so it was just good with all the great information that Dr. Alyssa Jordan is going to share with us today. So she is a doctor, a chiropractor at Sparling Healthcare. I see that Dr. Jordan also is a graduate of Life University, right?
I am.
So am I correct that also Virginia State University?
Yes, Virginia State University is where I got my bachelor's in biology pre-med.
Awesome. Look, so I got a little superhero right here among us. So I just love Dr. Alyssa. So guys, I wanted her to come on and share all of her knowledge. The stuff that she was sharing with me, I was like, oh my God, every female needs to hear this. Plus, I have a long loving relationship with Sparling Healthcare. So there's nothing like chiropractic care. I'm telling you guys, it takes care of everything. I told you, people thought I had stock or own part of Sparling. I was sending so many people to Sparling, but these people were getting healed and they were thanking me. You know what I'm saying? But it's the great doctors at Sparling that makes this happen. So kudos. I love Dr. Sam Sparling. That's the leader over here of Sparling Healthcare. Shout outs to Dr. Brown and Dr. K and all the other doctors that I haven't met, but I just know that everybody is magnificent over at Sparling Healthcare. All right, so Dr. Alyssa, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much, Miss Kathy. I love you. I adore her. She's amazing. And I'm really grateful that you ladies have signed on and given me some time of day. I know that a lot of us have not been to the chiropractor, so I'm gonna shed some light on why it's important in general, how it can affect women's health specifically, and I'm also gonna talk about a substance that can be found in many of our everyday products that we use in our household, as far as beauty, etc., that can be actually, excuse me, it's Friday morning, but that can be contributing to the common issues that we deal with every day as women, okay? So let's get right into it. All right, so everyone does not have their video up, but I want you guys to mentally note how many of us know someone or have dealt with any of these issues on the screen. PMS, vaginal infections, uterine fibroids, infertility, insomnia, bloating, brain fog, endometriosis, irregular periods, painful intercourse, breast cancer, the list goes on and on, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, okay? So all of these things are signs that you are possibly subluxated, which we'll get into in a minute, or you are dealing with some hormonal imbalance, okay? And Nurse Oraldine, I know that you're familiar with people dealing with these issues as well. Okay, so subluxation, you say, what does that mean? So a subluxation, before we talk about that, I'm going to get into some general spinal anatomy, okay? Well, my friend Bob, and Bob is my human spine model, so I'm actually going to stand up and step back so that everybody can see properly. Give me 1 second.
And guys, if you have any questions, please place in the chat box, and we will answer all your questions, just so you won't forget, and we will answer them at the end.
Okay. Miss Kathy, is this pretty clear? Can everyone see me pretty good? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So here is a human spine. I call this one Bob. Hey, Bob. All right. So your nervous system is made up of your brain, your spinal cord that lives within the spine, and the nerves that come off of your spinal cord. Let me get a close up. So these are the nerves that would come off of the spinal cord, okay? When I'm looking at your spine, or your chiropractor is looking at your spine, we want things to line up nice and straight, okay? The problem happens when the bones shift out of alignment and pinch those nerves. What that does is it blocks the message your brain is sending to your body to tell it how to heal and function. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, so that blocks the message your brain is sending to your body to tell it how to heal and function. The analogy that I like to use is, let's say you're getting ready to water your grass, okay? You turn on the water hose and then you step on it. You're obviously gonna deprive the grass of getting what it needs, correct? So in that instance, the hose would be the nerve, the foot would be the pressure from the bone that's out of alignment, and the grass would be the body, okay? Now, what I didn't mention is that through the nerves, that is how the brain communicates to the body and vice versa. There's actually chemical impulses that shoot to and from, back and forth. And this is why I have my trusty anatomy board here. But there's actually chemical impulses shooting to and from to tell the brain, okay, I stubbed my toe, okay, I'm hungry. And then for the brain to then tell the body what to do about that situation in order to help you heal and function optimally, okay? So with that said, back to the slide. The slide is a great illustration of it for all of the visual learners out there, which I'm one of them. But to the left, we have a normal spine with normal alignment, okay? Pay attention to the size of the nerves, pay attention to the size of the vertebral disc, and pay attention to the alignment of the bones in relation to one another, okay? When you look on the right side, you have a subluxation, okay? Look how healthy and plump this nerve is. Look at the disc. Now look at this vertebra and see how it shifts backwards. Now I want you to pay attention to this disc and this nerve. If you see that the nerve is red here, which indicates that there is impingement, there's pinching on the nerves, okay? On top of that, when you look at the disc, it is not as plump or the same color as the other two, which indicate that it's not as healthy. and there's some impingement going on in the disc as well. Now, it only takes the pressure of about a dime to create any type of dysfunction in a nerve, okay? What happens as subluxations sit there, because that is a subluxation, bones shifting, pinching a nerve, and manifesting as pain, dysfunction, or both in whatever body part that that nerve is going to, that is what a subluxation is, okay? Over time, subluxations sit there. And when they sit there, they manifest as not only pain, but dysfunction. So an example would be in the top of the neck, there is the very first bone in the top of the spine is called the atlas, okay? That is the first vertebra in the spine. The second vertebra is called the axis. That is the second one in the cervical spine, in the neck. Now that joint is how you say yes and no, okay? It's very important because it sits right below the foramen magnum. That's the brainstem that the hole that the brainstem goes through, excuse me. And trillions of messages are flowing to and from that area from the brain to the body, okay? So when that bone is out of alignment, you start to actually affect not just one organ, not just two organs, but all of the organs, okay? An example would be ADHD in some children, headaches, trouble sleeping, sinusitis. Each person illustrates or expresses subluxation differently depending on age, depending on environment, depending on what interference they're dealing with. So there's three types of interference mainly, chemical, emotional, and physical. In chemical interference, that's when you start getting into diet, certain, how medications interact with one another in the system. Those things can lead to interference in your nervous system and start to shut your immune system down or cause dysfunction in general, okay? That would be a chemical interference. Then there's emotional. That would be your stress levels. So we all have stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress. Unfortunately, those things are inevitable, but how we deal with them, our attitude, our state of mind is very important, because what happens when someone is stressed out is there's a substance in the body called cortisol, and cortisol begins to accumulate and build up. And what cortisol's job is to tear down every natural process in the body. It slows it down, okay? So just picture a child coming into a room, a toddler, after you've cleaned up and tearing everything apart, just running through with their toys, knocking down living room pillows. That's what cortisol does when you are very, very stressed out, slowing down natural processes that occur in the body, such as weight gain, metabolism, okay? All right, so we'll go on to the next slide. All right, so I did mention, I did mention physical interference. So I'll get back on that actually. With physical interference, that comes from trauma. One type of trauma that people usually come to the chiropractor for are car accidents. So when people are in a car accident, I'll use a rear-end accident as an example. You're driving or you're at a standstill or whatever you might be doing at the moment, and then you are hit, okay? You're hit from behind, as an example, and all of your soft tissues, including your ligaments, your muscles, your tendons, along with the hard tissue, with the bone and the joints, are whipped beyond their natural boundary. So what happens with that is, on top of the subluxation, the fixation or the restriction of the joint, you get muscle spasms, you get swelling, you get headaches, tingling, numbness, weakness, all of these symptoms that are set in place to let you know something is wrong, to protect, etc. Okay, that is one example of a physical trauma. Another physical trauma that people are not aware of or don't think of is birth. Now, the birthing process is a beautiful one. That's what our bodies are made to do, of course. But one thing that happens in the birthing process is sometimes, you know, things can get really stressful and you got to get the baby out through a cesarean, a C-section. Sometimes it requires a lot of pressure on their neck to get them out of the vaginal canal, right? So doctors, you know, they, of course they mean well. We all mean well, but they have to use a lot of pressure on that baby's neck to get them out and to save the baby, protect the baby. So what happens is that baby ends up being subluxated, and when they grow, those subluxations can manifest into different illnesses and conditions like allergies, ADHD, headaches, etc. Okay? And with that said, actually, John Hopkins did a study years ago, I want to say in the 90s, urging mothers and fathers to bring their child, their newborn, to the chiropractor before sending them home or taking them home in order to make sure that they're not subluxated, okay? Now, I know that y'all are like, what? Babies need adjustments too? And yes, we take care of people from birth to the grave. There's over 200 chiropractic techniques, and they stem from low force to high force adjusting. Of course, in an infant, we'll use more of a low force technique, and I'm actually licensed and certified in the technique that deals with pregnant women and infants called Webster's technique. Okay, so back to the slide. I know I went off on a little tangent there, but this is just an illustration of the female reproductive system, sort of from the side, just showing you the innervation. And basically what sets us apart from men is our reproductive system, okay? Our ovaries, our uterus, our breasts, those things are sexual characteristics, reproductive abilities that set us aside from them. So in the lower back, in everyone's lower back, whether male or female, the lower back and sacrum, I'll go to this again. So these bones here, okay, which is called the lumbar, okay? So let's go from the top. The neck is considered your cervical vertebra, okay? There's 7 levels of the neck. Your thoracic, your mid-back, where all the ribs attach mainly, is called the thoracic region. The lower back is called your lumbar region. Then you have your sacrum, and right below the sacrum is the coccyx, which is your tailbone, okay? Now, your sacrum, your lumbar, your coccyx, the nerves that come out of there, aside from the atlas, of course, the very top bone that I showed you guys basically affects everything. Yeah, those lower portions of your spine are where the nerves that control and innervate the reproductive organs sit, okay? So when you're subluxated in your lower back, no matter the cause, those are things that, those are the body parts that start to pay, okay? Those are the ones that can decrease in function, you know, with low back pain and disc degeneration, things like that. You don't want pressure on those nerves, especially if you're dealing with any of the issues that we spoke about earlier. If you're trying to, you know, have a baby and you want to create a safe and healthy environment for that kind of thing. If you're dealing with menstrual cramps or anything like that, you want to make sure that those body parts are experiencing the optimal nerve supply, okay, by removing the pressure off the nerves. All right, so we're going to get into the endocrine system, okay? So that the endocrine system is the collection of glands that produce hormones which regulate metabolism, growth, development, tissue function, sexual function, reproduction, sleep, mood, etc. Okay? So off the top of my head, I'll list a few glands. Everyone knows about the thyroid gland, right? That's another issue that a lot of women deal with. So there's thyroid gland, there's pituitary gland, there is the spleen, there is the pancreas, Those are a few glands that both male and female, men and women have. But actually, our ovaries and the male, their testicles produce sexual hormones. Okay, so I'm going to skip over endocrine disruptors and go straight into the two dominant hormones in the female body, in the female reproductive system. Estrogen, which is a natural hormone. It's important to growth, blood clotting, reproduction, in both men and women, along with progesterone, which is responsible for basically preparing the uterus for pregnancy, okay? That lining in the endometrium, okay? The lining that thickens, the lining of blood that then turns into the placenta. That's what the progesterone's job is to do, is to create, okay? In order to help the baby have nutrients for growth. Now, every month when you release that egg, when it's not fertilized, the lining begins to shed because there's no baby that it needs to prepare for, okay? If that makes sense to everybody. So back to endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are a category of chemicals that can alter normal function of hormones, okay? And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is one that is wreaking havoc amongst women and men, called xenoestrogens, okay? Foreign estrogens, that's what that means. Boo, we don't like them. All right, so the xenoestrogens are man-made hormones which imitate or mimic estrogen by blocking or binding to hormone receptors. And they can actually have unintended detrimental effects in the body. So I listed some in the beginning, you know, fibroids, mood swings, PMS, frequent vaginal infections, infertility, breast cancer, and men, prostate and testicular cancer. In everyone, it can lead to obesity, infertility, endometriosis, early onset puberty, miscarriages, diabetes, etc. It goes on and on. Okay, and just to backtrack a little bit, not only xenoestrogens can do this, but excess amounts of estrogen in the body. So this is what I'm getting to, and this is why we have to be careful, because these xenoestrogens are not biodegradable. And what that means is that the body does not flush them out as quick. It takes a little more for the body to excrete them, which means that they get stored in our fat cells with other toxins in our body that can cause other issues, okay? Whether it be estrogen or xenoestrogen, too much of it in the body can cause something called estrogen dominance, excuse me. And that is where you get all of those issues that we're talking about now, okay? So I said earlier that all of these things can be found in our everyday life and things that we're using and we don't even realize are harmful. So we'll start with the category of food. With food, you know, you go to the grocery store and we've all seen it, that shiny wax that the fruit is covered in. It looks pretty, but what those are: pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and those actually can contain xenoestrogens, okay? So we urge that everyone can eat organically, locally grown, eat foods that are in season. So by eating organically and locally grown, you're going to have a better chance of not having to deal with those pesticides and those waxy chemicals that are on the fruit. I did read somewhere once, though, that there are washes for that. I think 7th Generation is a brand that has one where you can remove that. You can also soak it in white vinegar, soak your fruits and vegetables in white vinegar to get those chemicals off. And we all know apple cider is good for everything, but white vinegar, I guess it found its place too. So that's one thing that you can do to get that waxy stuff off, okay? Peel non-organic fruits and vegetables for that same reason, just to get rid of those chemicals. buying hormone-free meats, dairy products, because you want to avoid pesticides, the waxy stuff, and you want to avoid excess hormones in the body because you don't want that stuff getting out of whack, okay? Next up, we have plastic, okay? Plastic is, I mean, it's used in everything, everywhere, you know, it's very convenient. I guess it's more economical for companies to use, you know, as far as our bottled waters and drinks and, you know, food containers and things like that. You know, it's urged that it's important to reduce the use of plastics whenever you can, to try not to warm food up in plastic containers. And that's hard. I mean, we all have Tupperware at home, but recently I've started to replace my plastic Tupperware with glass Tupperware. And it's a little heavier in my lunchbox that I carry to work every day, but it's worth it. You know, it's worth being healthier and going that extra mile just to make sure, you know, I don't have to have an expensive hospital bill or something like that. So you want to avoid the use of plastic wrap to cover food for storing or microwaving for the same reason, especially because when you heat plastic, it expands, the chemicals can break free, including BPA. BPA is one of those chemicals. That's why it's also important for the babies, for you to get BPA-free toys and bottles and things like that for them to use as well. So yes, so using glass or ceramics, I mentioned that earlier. Be careful to not leave your plastic containers or your water bottles in the sun. I know if you're like me, at some point or even now, you may have been leaving cases of water in your car. Why I did that, why I do that, I have no idea. Maybe I'm thinking there's gonna be some kind of apocalypse or whatever. But it's also just convenient for me to, you know, get it out of the car if I'm thirsty, if I'm driving stuck in traffic or something like that. It's also important to not drink those things when they've been sitting and boiling and heating up in the sun all day, okay? This one is gonna make y'all real mad because it makes me mad, but health and beauty.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to avoid certain creams, and one of the toxic chemicals, estrogenic ingredients, is parabens. There's a huge movement now, especially with the natural hair community. You know, people are using hair products, lip glosses, skin products that are paraben-free, sulfate-free, you know, no alcohol, things like that. And this, I believe, but steroconium chloride is one of those ingredients that you want to look for when you are shopping to make sure that you stay away from that, okay? Nail polish and nail polish removers, we want to be careful because those things contain that as well. Me personally, I use SNS when I go to the nail salon. I'm pretty sure there may be something in it that does harm. You know, nothing is going to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. We just need to try our best and minimize the exposure to xenoestrogen as much as possible. Okay. Naturally based fragrances. Personally, a few years ago, I stopped using perfumes, and as good as they smell, you know, as pretty as the bottles are, I just go and I use oils. You know, you can get the oils that are scented like the perfumes that you like, but I get them, not only are they cheaper and more economical, but they're safer. There's not chemicals, as many chemicals in them. And you know, all that stuff absorbs into your skin. Some women though, who do know this information, decide to just spray the perfume on their clothing and not on their direct skin, but actually it can seep into your skin as well. So if you're gonna do it, you know, minimize it, minimize the exposure. Chemical-free soaps and toothpastes, okay? So that's another thing we want to look into. Me personally, as far as toothpaste, there's a brand that I use called Hello. and it's charcoal coconut oil toothpaste. Tastes really good. It's fun to use if you're childish like me. But most importantly, there's no parabens or anything like that in it. So I feel safer using it. Reading labels on condoms, diaphragm gel. So you want to be careful what's going into your vagina directly. You know, pH can easily be thrown off. And the pH of the vagina is less than the blood that circulates through our body. pH of our blood is about 7.35, 7.45, which is pretty neutral on the pH scale. I'll explain that scale to you guys for people who aren't sure what I'm talking about. But the pH scale stems from a 0 to a 14, okay? 0 on a pH scale would mean very acidic. 14 would mean very basic, okay? So the body is right in the middle. Now, the stomach, the acid in the stomach is at a pH of 2 in order to break down proteins like meats, you know, the heavy things and light things that we put in our bodies so that our bodies can process it, get rid of the waste, and keep what's necessary. The pH of the vagina is about a 5, okay? And that is to kill any foreign bacteria. There's actually, I know my gynecologist, has actually told me that there's about 26 bacteria in the vagina naturally. And all bacteria is not bad. You know, there's good flora, is what it's called, and there's bad flora, there's bad bacteria. Now, the pH of the vagina is also that acidic in order to kill any excess. It can kill sperm, okay, to help balance the bacterial, the flora in the vagina as well, okay? So you want to be careful of what you're putting into it, because if it is high in estrogen, if it is something that can throw off your pH balance, then that can that can cause an overgrowth of a certain fungus or bacteria like yeast, which is naturally in the vagina. So that can cause yeast to have a better environment that it likes to grow and accumulate more, leading to a yeast infection, okay? Same with any type of bacterial vaginosis or anything like that. So you want to be careful about what you're putting down there. I know my OBGYN, my gynecologist told me to not even use soap. So I do use some soapless washes, yoni wash, they call it, that actually does not disrupt my pH. It keeps me feeling fresh and clean, but there's no soap in it or any type of chemicals, harsh chemicals that will throw off the pH balance in my vagina. So be mindful of that. Yoni wash and yoni oil are products that I use. Chemical-free, biodegradable laundry and house cleaning products is still something that I'm personally working on getting better at. But 7th generation, I get that from Walmart. But that is another name brand that actually has all of this, the laundry and the household cleaning products that we use. I use their dishwashing detergent. I recently started their clothing detergent, but it smells good. And I know that, God forbid, you know, we get carried away, start spraying stuff all over the house when we're cleaning, going crazy. God forbid I inhale some of it, you know, it's not going to be as harmful to my body. Another thing, choosing chlorine-free products, unbleached paper products. So, and I have recently started doing this as well with my menstrual pads. And that's another thing I get from Walmart is just period. It's a red, black, and white box. And there's no scents, no chlorophyll, no chlorine, no chemicals in it or fragrances in it, because those things have been linked to infertility, you know, and I want to flourish the earth. So I try to be careful where those things are concerned. All right, so I guess before, you know what, I'll say this and then I'll open up for any questions that you ladies have. I know I talked your heads off already, but in that instance, in that case, let's get healthy, y'all. You can follow my Instagram. It's pretty new, so don't mind my 11 posts. I promise there's more coming. But Dr. Alyssa Jordan on Instagram. Follow my Pinterest board, Dr. AJ to the ladies. I created it while I was in chiropractic school. And it's really cool. Anything I find, I just pin it on there that I want to share with my sisters. You can find me. You can come see me at Sparlin Healthcare. We're located at 923 Dill Avenue, Southwest Atlanta. And our number is 404-753-3141. My extension is 145, but if you'd like to schedule an appointment, just dial 1 for the front desk. And right now I have a special. Number one, we do take most insurances, but if you are, if your insurance does not cover chiropractic, which they're doing really well at these days, or you don't have insurance, we have cash plans. And right now I have a promotion. Exam consultations and x-rays are usually $150, but I have $50 coupons. So hit me up and come on down. Thank you for your time.
Oh, no, that was, uh-oh. Am I really loud on your end?
No, you're not.
Okay. That was amazing. That was great information. I was sitting over here. I had to mute myself in my picture, girl, because I make faces and you know, I'm silly too. So
yes.
I was trying to adjust my thing so I'd be more in the light. So, but your body is your home. Treated with love and respect. I love that. So yeah.
Yes.
No, that was some great information. So, you know, I wanted to say some silly stuff like cortisol, you know, we need to get rid of you.
Yes.
And this xenoestrogen, that's our kryptonite, you know what I'm saying? That's our kryptonite and it's ridiculous.
Yes.
And, but this is good information. So as we're moving forward, how we can take care of ourselves. So Oraldine has a question. Should women be using tampons to begin with? What are the disadvantages to using tampons?
Well, I can only speak from my opinion because I'm no, tampon expert. But in my opinion, I do not use tampons. I don't because I learned at a very early age about, the toxic shock syndrome. If they sit in there too long, but a lot of women like them. My thing is, I don't use them because I feel like I'm sitting and, that space, the vaginal canal is tight, even though it can expand. I don't know what is being pushed back up in me that I don't want, that needs to be excreted, which is why it's coming out in the first place. What I will say is I would, if I were you, speak to your OBGYN, your gynecologist, but I think that you should, any woman using tampons or sanitary napkins should definitely go with chemical-free. I think that's what's important. I think to each his own, if I'm going swimming, and, I just had an instance. We're all women here, so I can speak freely. I just was on vacation and, we were getting ready for this pool party and I was pumped, threw my bathing suit on, and guess what came? So one of my sorority sisters said, hey, I got a tampon if you want to use it. Now, did I want to? No, but I knew that it would just be for a few hours. So I did use it. But that's not something that I would do often or by choice. And if I did, I would definitely be getting the chlorine-free, chemical and fragrance-free to keep that pH level balanced and let the vagina naturally do what it's going to do. Hopefully that helps.
So I'll ask this question. And so I'm hearing a feedback from somebody. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kathy,
so that's all I'm asking.
Kathy, can you hear me? It's Karen. Yes, somehow when you speak, it's something with the mic. It's like a very heavy feedback when you speak.
Wow, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out what that is.
Well, you sound really good right now.
Okay, so I don't know what that is. So, but there was another question that came before Ordine's. It says from Belinda. She says, I am a CBD brand ambassador for the only CBD company in the PDR. Oh, that's the physician's desk reference.
Oh.
It says our products are prescribed by physicians in Brazil and other countries for 13 different conditions. But in the USA, it's a daily supplement. What do you know about CBD? Do you use or share information about the hemp-derived health products?
So it's neat. Thank you. And it was from Miss Belinda. Okay, thank you, Belinda. I actually just for continuing education a few weeks ago went to a seminar about CBD, and I learned a lot. My mind was blown. Number one, I do believe in it, period. I think it can be very helpful in more ways than one, and more than 13 conditions. What I learned at the seminar was about ratio matters. Now, there's a lot of people selling the CBD oil, and I'm sure that your company, Belinda, has done this research, but there's a lot of companies selling CBD products that are not aware of the ratios it takes to heal different conditions. I know that it breaks down into some different subcategories, CBD, THC, and terpenes. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Belinda, but I know that for each illness or condition, for each type of cancer, there's different ratios of each of those subcategories that are required in order to tackle that illness. So I'm still educating myself more about it. I absolutely believe in it. I've tried the products for pain, and I feel like they're amazing. So to answer your question, do I share information about it? Now that I know a little bit more, I want to educate myself more before sharing, because as a doctor, it's my responsibility to give people the right, accurate information. So until I'm highly educated on it, I'll share it more. But right now I do touch on it with my patients, and I do spread the word about it because I think it's very effective.
Awesome. And then the second part to Oral Dean's, well, she said the Diva Cup is something I was just introduced to. Is that any different from using a tampon?
It's something that I was just introduced to as well. From what I've heard about it, from what I learned about it, due to the suction method that it uses, I think it's better than a tampon. And I think so because with suction, there's no way that it can flow back into you. That is my concern with a tampon, is that you're sitting and that blood is kind of, depending on how you move, twist or turn, is kind of being pushed back up into where it's coming out from, and your body's trying to eliminate it. So I would rather use a Diva Cup than a tampon for that reason.
Wow, I never heard of Diva Cup. I have to check that. Well, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff anymore.
Must be nice.
It is.
But my good friend, she's also a chiropractor. We actually were going to use one together. Okay, let me see. She added something else. She's concerned that the suction would weaken the uterus and cause prolapse. Oh, well, that I can understand. But does it? I'm not sure how high up it goes. In order to be able to do that, Nurse Oral Dean, do you have any information on that? I'm waiting for her to write back.
Right. Girl, we have some technical difficulties going on out, so I don't know. Somebody else been in my office trying to figure out what's going on up in this camp.
Right. And yes, Oral Dean, I know it sits in the vaginal canal. Yes. Excuse me. I'm looking up. Yes, it does sit in the vaginal canal, but what I'm trying to figure out is how far up, because if it's further from the cervix, the further it is from the cervix, I would think that it would be less likely to create a vaginal prolapse, but that's just my opinion. But I do understand where you're coming from. I think that should be a concern.
All right, we have a hand raised by Karen.
I'm sorry, say that again. I'm looking at the.
Yeah, Karen has raised her hand. Karen.
No, I hit it by mistake. I wanted to type in a question, but I figured it out because I'm doing this from my phone. So I'm getting ready to type my question.
Well, while you're talking, you can go ahead on and ask it.
Well, I was definitely, especially when Dr. Jordan was going over the spinal cord. And you remember this past week, I've been having some really bad back spasms. And it was so funny that a friend of mine had came over and actually had given me a little bit of CBD oil to rub on my lower, I guess like Dr. Jordan said, that was the lower lumbar, right above my tailbone. And it actually did help. But I just wanted to find out, you said a little bit more, you had mentioned something about, I guess, portion, that you had to be really careful with the portion of the amount of CBD that you use?
Okay, so no, what I was saying was that what I've learned is that there are, under that umbrella, the CBD oil, those products, right, the hemp products, when they do the extractions from the plant, it breaks down into 3 subcategories. Or it could be more, if I'm not mistaken, but the main ones are CBD, terpenes, and THC, okay? So when I said, I use the word ratio because each illness or each issue requires different ratios of each portion in order to cure them. So for example, you would not give a person in your situation, muscle spasms, the same compound, the same mixture of those different components, those different subcategories, than someone with asthma or ovarian cancer or prostate cancer. The ratios would switch, depending on the issue. So that's what I meant, if that helps. But if that CBD oil or the topical that you use worked for you, then you know that is the correct ratio or mixture for the issue that you're dealing with.
Okay, got it.
And we have a specialist right in our chat, Miss Belinda. So, hey, she might be able to add to what I'm saying. But yes, if it worked for you, if it was effective, then you know that it helped you. One thing that it can't do is remove the pressure off the nerve, but it has other amazing healing abilities. So, that is something that I would even speak with Dr. Sparlin about, with getting into our clinic to help our patients heal, along with getting chiropractic adjustments.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, anytime.
Girl, there is nothing like chiropractic care, okay?
Yes.
I know.
Like it. So, guys, I used to suffer with migraines. And so that's how, that was the last straw. I had done everything, MRIs, I had every medication that was on the market. This is like in my teen years up through my young adulthood. And then I met Dr. Sparlin. And so all that I understand, it's amazing how all those different pressures, how our spine and just one little vertebrae gets out of alignment, causes excruciating pain. It causes those headaches are no joke. And so when I've gone to, like, even when it was one time that I think because I had caught myself trying to elevate my head, sleeping, and I caused the vertebrae or a nerve or something to get out of alignment. As soon as I came, Dr. Brown felt it. He's like, oh yeah. Knocked that little baby back in line, and I was feeling like a million.
Good to go. Yes. Yeah, a lot of it goes so much deeper than what people think. But honestly, I'm going to speak freely again. I think as a profession, chiropractors need to do a better job educating the public on what we're for and what we can do for the body and why we exist. We don't exist to crack backs. I'm not a back cracker, you know what I mean? So, we go through 9 years of school, just like an MD. We have the same curriculum. Exactly. We have the same curriculum that they do for especially in our clinical years. It switches, clinical science years. It switches when we get into our clinicals because we use different techniques. We heal from a holistic preventative standpoint, and they follow the allopathic method. And you know, they both have, we both have our place in this world. We all want the best for our patients. But as a chiropractor, I chose chiropractic. I would say chiropractic chose me because I was on my way to medical school. But I want to help people heal naturally, you know, and just get my patients. My mission is to get my patients to function close to optimally as possible. And I know that we can do that through keeping the nervous system healthy. Now, when your body needs a little bit of health, absolutely, you know, we make the referrals necessary, whether it be to your primary care provider, your OBGYN, rheumatologist, and ortho. We make the proper referrals when necessary. But, you know, all of these things, this whole PowerPoint is all about, along with chiropractic, it's all about taking responsibility back and power back for your own health, putting it into your own hands, and helping your doctors, all of your doctors, help you, you know, be a better and a healthier you and live a longer life, create more longevity for you and your family.
Awesome. Well, we're going to close on that note. Unless anybody else have any other questions, you guys can follow with Dr. Jordan. You know, you might want to put your last PowerPoint, you know, that last page, your contact.
Oh, yes. No problem.
So you guys can follow her, contact her. Please go visit Dr. Sparling, Dr. Jordan, you know, over at the Sparling Clinic. And it's your visit will be just amazing. They treat everybody awesomely. And so this has been really good. So I was trying to read, Belinda said this has been very informative. It's extremely important if you are a drug tested to take pure CBD products so that it does not flag a drug test. So yeah, so because I just heard about that the other day. Some guy said he was a teacher, he got fired because he failed a drug test using the CBD oil. So I mean, everybody needs to get, you know, follow up, you know, do your research, in other words.
Right,
and,
right.
And before, you know, going forward with, you know, what you're doing with CBD oil or whatever. So, but anyway, guys, thank you so much. And we certainly appreciate all of you joining us today. So just know that our She Speaks, we cover great information every single time. The last Monday, actually the fourth Monday of the month, we have our, you know, regular She Speaks. But just working with Dr. Jordan and with Sparling Healthcare, you know, I want to do a special edition. We're getting ready to go into the holidays and actually into a new year. And, you know, we don't need to wait till January the 1st to start a new resolution that we won't keep up with. Let's plan ahead and make some things happen better for our lives and for our families. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Jordan, and you guys have an amazing day.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kathy, and thank you, ladies, for your questions, for your time. I pray that this was useful to you, and give me a follow on Instagram and just reach out to me if you or anyone you know ever needs me. I got your back, no pun intended. That's my little Cairo joke right there.
I love it, love it, love it. Well, we want to thank you.